Hi, my name is Ayon Banerjee. I'm a president with ANSR. At ANSR, we help international brands set up their global teams across the world and tapping into the vast digital talent. Today for this Fireside chat, I'm extremely delighted to be able to introduce Bob Kupbens, who is an EVP, Chief Product and Technology Officer at the Neiman Marcus Group. Bob, a very warm welcome to you.
Oh, thank you so much. It's great to be here.
It's great to have you out here today.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
India is not new to you at all, Bob. And you spent a fair bit of time in India. Of course, it's dated. But given the fact that you've spent such a lot of time in India and have stood up teams, in India over the last 15 years, tell us a little bit about your journey in terms of how you've been thinking about teams and creating global hubs to be able to tap into the talent that's available globally.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate the reminder that it's been a very long time since I've been in Bangalore, and it's wonderful to be back here. I think we've got the start of such an amazing team, and it's a great question because no matter where you are in the world, though, talent is the key. And so finding the best talent that can support our technology initiatives, that can support our business objectives here in India is going to be the most important thing. And we feel like the great news about being in India now versus where I was first here 15 years ago is that the market now knows retail, and talent is available. And I think we've got this great opportunity to accelerate and grow fast because the market has caught up to where we are. And so you don't love to be last in market, but now that we're here, we're not totally last, but now that we're here, the market's going to allow us to grow really quickly, and talent is a big part of that. The other thing is just I've learned that when you operate a team, you don't want to operate it as like an adjunct or like sort of an unimportant arm to your overall program or your strategy. And so operating the way we are now as one team, where we have team members here in India and they're connected to a team in the US and it's just one team working together, I think that's a very important part of how you build a global team and how you build the model to create inclusiveness, to make sure that what people are working on and they feel passionate about is the core of our business. Our strategy is about revolutionizing luxury experiences, and so when we talk to a team here, we want them to feel like they're a part of that, fundamentally. And then I think you give teams autonomy, and you give them the opportunity to grow and learn and develop. And you have to treat a team in Bangalore like you would a team anywhere else, but you have to be committed to that. And I think operating as one team, leveraging the best talent, I think we've got a great start here and looking forward to obviously a lot more.
It's been, 18 months that you've joined Neiman Marcus?
Yeah, that's about right.
And it's been a fascinating journey, just following in terms of everything that you've been doing. And you've obviously been investing very heavily from a tech standpoint.
That's right.
And you pretty much define the future of luxury retail. Tell us a little bit about the role that tech plays, when you think about Neiman Marcus 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road.
Yeah, boy, I wish I could predict 20 years down the road, but I think it's crazy because technology is so foundational to everything that we do right now. I think our history is that we've built our business on relationships with customers, deep relationships with especially loyal, high-spending customers, right? That's the history of Neiman Marcus. And then we've spent a lot of time figuring out what is the optimal experience for those customers. But the mechanism of delivery for that, historically, has been in the store and with our incredible store associates. We have some of the most talented and wonderful store associates in any business. I've been in a lot of businesses, but listen, these people, they're amazing. They're amazing, and they're so focused on service. But we know, this 2022, as we think about 5, 10 years down the road, obviously, service is going to be integrated between physical and digital channels. It's going to be digitally enabled. It's going to be technology enabled. It's got to be personal. It can't be in one physical place. And so technology supports all of that, how we create an understanding of who a customer is and what she cares about and what she's likely to respond to, how we deliver that in channel in a really effective and wonderful way. I just think the store is not enough anymore. And so how you put together the store and this talented team we have with the technology as a way of connecting with customers in a very personal way, that's the path forward. We win by engaging with not just the loyal customers that we have today, but a whole host of new future loyal customers that are going to be more digitally savvy, that are going to want to be connected in unique and differentiated ways, that are going to still want to feel that personal touch, but not necessarily physically in a store all the time. And so you have to believe that amplifying our store teams, you have to believe that creating platforms that don't exist today where we can innovate on new ways of interacting with these loyal customers who have high expectations, by the way. So it's not just the standard stuff, it has to be the new stuff and the innovative stuff and the differentiated stuff. That's where I think we can win, and that's what this team's going to bring us, the ability to think big about differentiated experiences, the ability to think big about the way we lean into these customers and how we grow that population more and more over time.
Fantastic. I mean, look, today was a very monumental day for Neiman Marcus.
Yeah.
And if you just go by, the reception that you got from your brand new team out here, I mean, just the look on their faces just speaks volumes for the amount of excitement that lies ahead. You also spoke a little bit about, the 100-year-old heritage of the company, in terms of the company having started in Dallas, and this whole concept around corporate hubs.
Yeah.
So obviously you're headquartered in Dallas. Dallas is your very first corporate hub. You have a second corporate hub in New York. And now you have a third corporate hub in Bangalore, as you called it.
Yeah.
Would love to understand and have you just chime in a little bit in terms of, what's your own personal aspiration for Bangalore? How do the three teams work together in a very seamless and a frictionless world?
Yeah, I mean, this idea of hub is a new one for us. We made the decision early on, even before COVID, that we would have this hybrid work environment. And it's very progressive. Our CEO, Geoffroy, is like really progressive, incredibly bold thinker in a lot of different ways. But this is one where I think he and the rest of the GLT just said, look, we don't have to work in a specific building anymore. It doesn't matter. We're going to recruit the best talent from wherever they are. And so I joined. I'm based in San Francisco. Our new CIO, our new CIO joined. She's based in Minneapolis. Our new CFO, Katie, joined. She's based in Los Angeles. Our chief legal officer, she's in St. Louis. And so you can see how we've assembled this world of talent in a way that we've put together now to deliver the best for our customers and the best for our business. And so we think about that now, these hubs as like gathering points, but not necessarily places where people have to come and be on a permanent basis. Like we have lots of situations where we're going to want people in the office for either specific situations or certain days or certain like reasons where it's important to gather. But in general, hubs are a place to gather when we need to, and then other times work virtually, and we'll just bring the work together. And so when we conceived of a we were sort of making air quotes, new headquarters in Dallas, we said, let's not make it a headquarters where everybody has a seat and everybody has an office, or if you have a seat or not, and this is where you're going to be every day, and then you have to commute from wherever you live. Like, let's not make it like that. Let's make it a place that has a real diversity of spaces, so that we can have collaboration spaces, or we can have individual spaces, or we can have meeting spaces or team spaces, but they're all a little bit different, and they're trying to serve different purposes. We paired up IDEO and their sort of design thinking around these spaces with Gensler, who's been our architect for a long time, and so they married this notion of like spaces and like situations that our teams are going to be in with the physical spaces, and then we overlaid some technology on top of it, and so we've got this really unique idea of what a hub is. It's a highly flexible, really agile physical space that seamlessly integrates folks from wherever they are in the world digitally, and so that's what a hub is. A hub isn't a place where people come and sit. It's a gathering point for digital people and physical people, and a way of working that allows us to be really efficient and leverage our talent. And so that's the way we think about Dallas. We have something in New York as well, and New York is really about buying and engaging with our brand partners, right? So our buyers go to New York all the time, and we've never really had a place for them. They kind of took over the BG store and the offices above that store, and so we felt like building a hub for that team was important. And then, this idea of a Bangalore hub is a little bit of like the old model of GCC, but it's more the new model of the same thing we think about when we think about the Dallas hub. We want to create a hub here that's got these spaces that people can use to collaborate, or they can use as times when they're going to engage with the team in the US, or they're going to use them for innovation, or they're going to use them for, team events. I mean, we want to create a space that feels like a place that isn't permanent, but is purpose-built for the things that our teams need to do. And so we don't think about Bangalore any different than we think about New York, any different than we think about Dallas, but we're going to grow the capabilities of this team probably in a different way, around technology for sure, but then around a host of other business functions that we think are essential. We want ultimately this team to feel like they're a cross-functional group that spans all aspects of Neiman Marcus. So technology today, we have folks working in .com, we have folks working on our mobile app, on Bergdorf Goodman. We have folks working on Connect, which is this incredible app that the team built to allow our sales associates to connect remotely with their customers. That'll ultimately be our version of mobile POS, And so we have this incredible already set of teams working on things that are critical and important to our strategy, but we're going to really build that out. I think our intent is to be 10x our current size within the next calendar year. And so we feel so great about that. But then in addition, we want to bring a host of potentially really awesome business functions here. So whether it's analytics or supply chain or product or finance, HR. Like there's no business function that shouldn't also be here because it's a hub. And I think that's an important mindset shift when you think about it less as a GCC and a place where we go do stuff that isn't core. But when you call it a hub and you change the mindset around it being a hub, like all of a sudden it opens up a whole bunch of new possibilities. And we think that this team and this location and the sort of the culture and all the things that we're going to build around this team are going to be really special. But they're also going to be such a critical and important part of the future of Neiman Marcus Group and our ability to execute against the strategies that we have.
And Bob, you're a poster child of this journey. And if you just think about, your days at Target, whatever, 15, 16 years back.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it must be a sense of deja vu for you. But I guess one of the beauty of what you're doing.
It's deja vu with more traffic.
More traffic, exactly, much more traffic, and a little bit of pollution, but that's fine.
No, it's all good.
But if you just think about the beauty of, what you just spoke about, the people who are doing the work today, right now, are essentially the Bobs of the world tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I think that's the exciting part about the journey that you're setting off from a Neiman Marcus, talent-based standpoint.
Yeah.
I guess the one question that also, would be very interesting for our audience to hear about is, typically when you start off a hub, it's a very large change management, so you conceive it, and from the time you actually get the broader leadership to embrace it and act on it and then execute it, it's usually several quarters gone.
Yeah.
But the fact that you've joined 18 months back, you conceived it probably 2-3 quarters back, and today you are cutting a ribbon, that's remarkable no matter how you look at it. How did you go about solving such a complicated problem of change management on the one hand, and then execution on the other?
I mean, look, from my standpoint, like I don't like to move slow, and but we also have this great advantage, which is that the market knows retail. I think I said that earlier, but because the market knows retail, it allows us to find talent who've been down this road before, and I think that's really important. Like the ability to say, like, no, we can find an expert in mobile development who's built an app for a retailer that's had these sort of like all of a sudden we have somebody who's purpose built for that specific function, and we can bring them in and they can start to contribute right out of the gate. When I was here before, we were teaching people retail. We were teaching people what it meant to be a U.S. multinational company and how to interact, and all that's now water under the bridge and just sort of common knowledge among this population, and which is really exciting. The other thing, and it's an important point that you made, is sponsorship. So change management for us has been almost backwards how you might see it in other organizations. So I started talking about India, and we built the concept and built the business case around technology. And then immediately as Katie, our new CFO, came in, and Eric, our people services leader, and other functions, we started talking about the opportunity here. They were all like, how fast can you go? How fast can we be a part of this thing? And so it's much less about change management. It's much more about almost like expectation management, around look, we have to be strategic and we have to be thoughtful, and we have to be, what we can't do is we can't just bring a bunch of people on and not be clear about the work that we want them to do, or worse, bring them on and give them work that's not core and central, or it's not organized, a business process not ready to move. So I think there are a number of criteria, but so we're more setting expectations than we are doing change management, and I think that's actually a really great place to be. So I brought with me on this trip the team that's going to help us make the assessments about where we go fast, where we have to maybe go a little bit slower, where we're leveraging partners, and just speaking of partners, the other thing that gives us confidence is the experience that we had with ANSR. And because of the relationship that I had originally with Target, and all of the work that ANSR's done with other youth multinationals, we just know that we can move faster now than we've ever been able to move. And some combination of our team who's got experience with GCCs and other sort of partners in India, and the ANSR team who's got experience in setting these things up, we've just, your team knows we had no patience for slowness. We were like, we're gonna go. And here's the date when it needs to be done. And what is it gonna take? And so we really just started that way. But the sponsorship is key. And the fact that we have these sponsors, both me, but also other members of the GLT, who are so passionate about growing teams here and making those teams central to the work that we do, and understanding the value of that on so many dimensions. I think because we're starting there, we're in a much better place than I think other companies are, or that we might otherwise be. So exciting to be in this place. No,
absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
And we're going to move faster. You think we've moved fast so far? Like, just wait.
Bring it on.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'll maybe change the topic a little bit right now.
Sure.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that little gadget that you carry with you, right? A full frame, mirrorless,
Oh, yeah, totally.
Canon. And I've been told that you don't travel outside of the San Francisco where you live without that camera in your bag.
Sometimes I don't leave my house.
You don't leave the house,
yeah.
right? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about, your hobby, your passion. I think that the one thing that perhaps many of you don't know is that Bob is a very accomplished professional photographer, and he does cover, some of the most special teams in the United States, from San Francisco 49ers to the San Jose Sharks and whatnot. And I'm sure you probably captured quite a few of, landmark championship, photographs, and I'm sure we've seen them. We've, just that we never knew that you were behind them.
Yeah.
So tell us, how do you really compare, your passion for photography with your passion for, tech in retail? Mm-hmm. Do you draw inspiration, between the two? Does one influence the other? Yeah. Would love to take a peek into your mind and hear more about that.
Yeah, I mean, photography is it started as a hobby, it's turned into a profession, not a particularly lucrative one, and a very part-time one, obviously, but it is exciting for me in a couple of ways. One is, personally, I'm always trying to learn something. I'm always curious, and photography for me is something that I didn't know as well, and when you photograph with some of the best photographers in the world, you're sort of there on the sidelines with people who've made careers out of taking these beautiful images. It's a humility moment, because you're not the best one there, you've got a lot to learn, and you just constantly, I use that as motivation. So for me, I translate that to motivation on a professional sense, like how do we move faster? How do we get better? How do we get teams to perform better? How do we think about, how do I personally get to be a better leader? And what are the things that I can do to enhance my leadership and enhance the way that I grow teams and that I coach others on my team? So I think for me, that humility moment, there's an arrogance if you're like, oh, I'm the best one here, but it's clear when you look at the photos, like I can be at a game with a top tier, and these are friends of mine now, top tier Getty photographer, and you can look at their images and look at mine, and it's like, oh my gosh, what game were you at? Because I wasn't there, but what you captured is brilliant. So it's a humility moment for me, and I use that as inspiration to learn and to grow and to continue to find ways to get better. I think the other thing is that there's a visual language there. Like there's a very small difference between a good photograph and an excellent photograph. It's subtle.
About 5,000 frames.
Yeah, no, it's not just that. There's something that's subtle that's in the eye, that you have to be in the right spot, and you have to be in, obviously the technical aspects have to be there, but you have to be in the right spot, and you have to see the thing almost before it happens so that you can capture it in a way. And so that's how I think about our customer experience. It's like it's easy to have a good customer experience. It's not easy to have an excellent customer experience. And so as I try to hold the team accountable to continuing to push to an excellent customer experience, I use that inspiration of a good photo versus an excellent photo. Is that checkout good enough? I don't know. How can we make it better? Is that image good enough? Is that mobile app? Does it scroll well enough? Does it feel like that scroll is like luxurious scroll or just a normal scroll? And just like asking those questions and having a sense for the visual and the impact that a visual can have on people's perception of the brand. Like for me, that's really important. I draw that from photography, and I probably had some of that in there anyway. But I think for me, that's an important analog and an important parallel between the two parts of the things that I do and love to do.
Fascinating. I've never heard the word luxury scroll before.
Well, we'll show you.
It's always about learning, and with that, thank you very much, Bob. I think so. Heartiest of congratulations.
Thank you so much
for everything you've done up until now, and wish you the very best. Yeah. In the months and quarters, I guess I should say in the minutes and hours and days to come.
That's better, and we appreciate your partnership along the way, and you'll be right there with us. So thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Pleasure.